single board because of the collective wisdom. The collective wisdom decides on whatever. Each one comes with a different background. Each knows something. They collate all that and then take a decision. That is single tier. In America, in UK, this is the system. English speaking, New Zealand, Australia, these are the things that's happening. Another model is there. That is called the two-tier system. Two-tier system. In the two-tier system, it is mostly in Europe, in Germany, in France, in Italy, two-tier. In two-tier system, what happens? They have two boards. One board is called the supervisory board. The other is called the operational board. Supervisory board and operation. Unlike in Anglo-Indian system, Anglo-American system, what happens is they have two tiers. In the first tier, even the trade union is represented. In the supervisory, they feel, Germany, France, etc., they feel unless the workers cooperate, the company will not work well. So they said, let the president of the trade union be on the supervisory board. Similarly, because then only the cooperation of the workers will be available. They say, let also some politician also come in on the board, he represents the society. They say bankers have mostly invested here, they are also lenders, they are also shareholders, let the banker be here. Then they say, let the chairman be here, let other independent directors be here. They only decide the policy. They only decide the policy. That means they are only concerned with the governance. The actual operations is left to the second board. That board is called actually the operational board. The operational board is how to implement whatever the top board has said, they have to only implement it. And therefore we say this is the policy board, this is the tactical board. This is the strategy board, this is the tactical board. The policy strategy making is in the supervisory board. The implementation, activation, all that is with the next board. In the next board, the CEO is there. The only connection between the lower board and the higher board is the CEO. Only the CEO reports to the board. None of the other people have anything to do with the board. Only the CEO. That means the CEO gets his problems to the board. The board gives him the advice and the decision. He takes it back. He actually operationalizes it. He takes the tactical decision. So you see, decision making at the governance level with the supervisory board, decisions at the administration level is with the lower board. You understand what I say? You see how clearly the governance functions and this functions. So this is how they have done it in Europe. Then in Japan, in India, in Singapore, in South Asia, in China, etc., we follow different. Our thing is called the Asian model. Asian model. We normally follow only the Anglo-American thing. Only one board. Only difference is we have many subcommittees. Subcommittees, each subject, the subcommittee of the board gives the decision to them. Subcommittees of the board. Second important thing that is there is, we believe in consensus building. That means in India we believe that there has to be some measure of agreement. People have to agree. Japan, they don't do anything unless everyone agrees. Lowest fellow's advice also is taken into account. Because they always consider company is extended Japanese family. They believe in family. Family is united. Family is the unit. They say company is extended family, big family. So they feel like a family which they are familiar with. Company is also big family. So whatever values and ethics is in the house, the same thing they say must be there. So if everyone is consulted in the house, there also everyone must be consulted. India also we are moving towards that model, that we have means of trying to get the pulse of the people, know what is to be done, and then only we are actually implementing. So this is the third model called the Asian model. Essentially it is just like the Anglo-American model, except that we provide for more number of meetings, other information gathering, as well as subcommittees also that we have. And we also have what were called town hall meetings, meetings in small groups and getting their information. So this is the three different tiers that we have got. And in corporate governance, most important thing that you need to do is, all corporate governance says certain committees of the board are essential. What are the committees of the board? First committee, they said, people who must be serving on the board must be properly selected. So they said we must have a nominations committee. Nominations committee. In the nominations committee, they have said independent directors must be a majority in the nomination committee, and only one fellow MD can be on the committee. The idea is you must search for people. You see, people normally won't come and join a company as independent director unless they are sure the company is a good company. Otherwise, they may have to go to jail if the company does something. So they said, we won't join unless I am sure the company is a good company. So independent directors, there's a shortage of independent directors, 5,000 posts of independent directors vacant. Because people don't want to join unless they are sure it's a good company. Because any decision taken which is illegal, improper, and subject to any legal action, you will be also facing it because you have also been a party to that decision, unless you dissent from that decision. So that is why getting good people onto the board is also a difficult exercise all over the world and particularly in India. So therefore what happens is, this nominations committee is supposed to get from various people who are good people, who have got the skills, and they will go and approach them, will you like to join? For example, I also receive a lot of requests. I don't join because unless I am sure he's a good fellow, why should I stick my neck out? So I don't do that. So similarly, everyone will be thinking like that. So what happens is that this nominations committee is very important because the composition of the board and the governance is dependent on the nomination committee, very important. Second important committee is called the remuneration committee. They decide what should be the sitting fees for the directors in the company, what should be actually the salary of the managing director and the directors. Below that it is according to the normal company. But the top brass salaries fixation is part of the remuneration committee's job. That means it must be not too excessive, not too low. If it is too low, it won't attract good people. If it is too high, there will be a lot of problems. And you have to maintain the balance between what similarly placed companies, what salary they are giving. I have to keep that also in mind. This is also very important. So this is actually the function of the remuneration. In the remuneration committee, though they don't keep any one of the regular employees, none of the functional directors, only independent directors are put there so that you have proper justice done in fixing the remuneration. Then we have another very important committee that is called the audit committee. Audit committee. Audit committee is extremely important. The audit committee must have a chairman. That chairman must be a person with either financial qualifications or a person who is adept at finances. Either he should be a knowledgeable person on finance or he should be a financially qualified person. Audit committee chairman. And there can be 2 other members, minimum 3 members must be there. They can actually have some person from also the company, regular employees, or they may only call them for some discussion or something. But this audit committee is very important because every time, every 3 months, quarterly results have to be published in respect of listed companies. So every 3 months, the board has to pass it and publish it in the newspaper. That is why you find a lot of things coming in the newspaper. Now, unless the audit committee recommends, the board cannot pass that. That means the audit committee is given the responsibility of carefully going through the accounts and then certifying. The board can now pass it, or if they have any doubts, they must mention it to the board. And therefore, that is very important. Audit committee is, they have to scrutinize the accounts, they have to recommend it to the, and they have to also recommend who should be the auditors. The auditors of the company, who should be the auditors is the function of the audit board, committee. So the audit committee says, so and so companies can be made, And the rotation of those people also is like this. There can be an internal audit, there can be a secretarial audit, there can be a cost audit. In big companies, there's a system audit. In construction companies, there's a pre-audit committee. That means you can see the number of committees they have to have, which the audit committee will decide what committees, what systems must be. And their responsibility is to see that the accounting systems are proper and they are corresponding to international guidelines. So that is the function of the audit committee. Audit committee is extremely important committee. So the audit committee has to have qualified people on that, independent directors on that. Every quarter they have to do. And at the annual general meeting, the chairman of the audit committee must be present. So that if any questions are asked in the annual general meeting by any ordinary shareholder, the CEO may not be capable of answering, but this man, since he is financially qualified, he can explain the accounts at the AGM. So the AGM has to be necessarily statutorily attended by the chairman of the audit committee. So chairman audit committee is a very important position. One, to give confidence at the AGM, explain the accounts to the ordinary person, and also ensure that the quarterly accounts are a true and fair account of the accounts of the company. So this is very important from the point of view. So the audit committee is very important, nomination committee, the remuneration committee. Apart from that, depending on the situation, you can have HR subcommittee, you can have like that any number of, but these committees are statutory committees. By law, you must have these committees. By law, you must have these committees. That ensures good governance in the company. So this point, you please keep at the back of your mind. Then next I want to just very briefly tell you what is the duties of the board, because ultimately we are saying the board is the fulcrum. The board is the archstone of the entire edifice of corporate governance. So what is the most important thing? One, legal compliance. That means that the company adheres to all the laws and regulations in the country. National laws must be obeyed. All global laws like UN laws, etc., which are applicable, they must be obeyed. Legal compliance. Second, every company is subject to risks. There's a lot of volatility, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of change taking place. Globally, situation is changing. So with all this uncertainty, risk management, there will be immense risks. Risk of foreign exchange, risk of product failing in the market, risk of demand, risk of supply. So many risks are involved. So it says risk management. That means the board must look at all the risks that the company has to face. Risk management. Next important, monitoring and evaluation. You must continuously monitor. What reports must come to the board? What statements must come to the board? How are you evaluating it? And not only they must evaluate the functioning of the MD, functioning of the other functional directors of the company, they have to evaluate themselves. Whether all the directors are doing self-evaluation also has to be done. Monitoring, evaluation and self-evaluation of the board. That also has to be done. Long-term plans, we told already, you must have a vision statement, mission statement. Create a vision, create a mission, create a passion among the people to achieve that. All three things are important. That is the function of the board actually. Long-term plan. Also, short-term plans review whether things are going properly or not going. Corporate social responsibility. Is the reputation of the company nice? Is the company building a brand image? Is the brand image very nice? These are all very important issues to the board. Are we looking after the minority stakeholders? Are we maintaining our dividend record? Are we able to always assure that the dividend we are giving? Are all the subcommittees functioning properly or not? If supposing some person comes and tells you, sir, some mischief is there, some golmaal is there, that fellow has knocked off this money, this fellow has committed theft, I must protect that fellow. who has come and in the interest of the company has brought the notice to the board or to the CEO. Such fellows who actually do this, we call them whistleblower. We call him whistleblower. Like policeman is whistling, is telling, look here, something bad is happening. Whistleblowers, we call it protection of whistleblower. If any person brings you secret information which will otherwise harm the company, he has to be protected. Ataniki abhayam ivvali. That is called whistleblower policy. It is called whistleblower policy. So you see, they have to also ensure gender diversity. Then they have to have a code of conduct, first for themselves and then for the company, a code of conduct. What should be the behavior? What should be the code of conduct? And then they have to ensure that they don't hide facts and they